Hey everyone, welcome to episode 12 of the Identity Love podcast. I went on Instagram and asked you folks to give me some questions that you wanted me to answer on the podcast. And one of the things that I noticed was an overarching thing was this idea of confidence. How do I be more confident in being myself? How do I have more confidence in my relationship? How do I have more confidence in just showing up and doing all the things and not feeling so self-conscious and self-doubtful about it? I feel like that's what we're all after anyway, right? When we want the self-love, when we want to stop people-pleasing, when we want to just be ourselves in our relationship instead of being controlled by our partners, we want the confidence to be ourselves. And that's what I'm here to help you get good at, to get really good at being yourself, which does create confidence. So why should I be the one teaching you about this? Is it because I was just born with confidence and I just am exuding it naturally and I'm like, I know exactly how to be confident? No, it is because I have not had it for so long and I felt so insecure and shy and anxious and people-pleasy, partner-pleasy for almost my entire life, including losing myself in relationships, constantly in self-doubt, always thinking I'm not good enough. I have always wanted it, but I never felt like I could get it. And I remember looking at all the things online that tell you like the Tony Robbins crap, right? Where it's like, just stand taller and speak with confidence and look at people in the eye and think positively about yourself and own your strengths and all these things. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I can generate some confidence when I do that, but it is so fleeting. I can do it in the moment, but then as soon as something in the real world happens, it's gone, right? We need to know who it is that we're being confident about. And not only that, and that's what I help you with, right? Is I help you to understand who you really are and to be more of your true self so you can feel confident in who you're being. But in addition to that, you have to think in a way that promotes this confidence, because right now we are so used to thinking in a way that is insecure, that is constantly reflecting on ourselves, doubting ourselves, thinking that we're always in the wrong. And it feels like it's reality. Well, I realized I want to figure this out no matter what. I want to at least get a little bit more confidence and experience what that is like before I die. That became my main goal. After years and years of trying to get it through pleasing other people to doing all the right things, I realized it wasn't working. And that at the end of the day, all I really wanted was just to feel good about myself, to feel that confidence. And now I can say, I'm not the most confident person in the entire world by any means. And it's not like I go through life feeling so self-assured all the time, but I feel 10,000 times better than how I felt in the past. And when things come up, which they always do, I handle it so much better than in the past. And so I'm telling you that it is possible, and that I did not know how to do it at all from the beginning. And I floundered around for a long ass time before I actually started to feel like I'm actually genuinely getting confidence. Not the kind that comes from people approving of me, and not the kind that comes from me doing things that makes me feel like I'm checking things off someone else's list, but actually just me existing in the way that I want to freaking exist in the world, and to stand up for myself and to be who I want to be in my life. And no matter what is happening around me, even if I get thrown off for a little bit, I always do come back and get back into myself. And that's how I know that I have the self-confidence. And so in this episode, I really wanted to address one of the core things that I had to practice believing and change my mindset about in order for me to allow in a little bit more confidence in myself. The one thing I wanted to say to start off with this is our insecurities come from what we think others are going to think about us, right? We think it's something inside of ourselves where we're just like, I don't know, I'm just insecure. But if you think about it, it always depends on someone else's opinion, right? Because if we were going through the world and there was no other humans, we would do whatever we wanted and not feel unconfident. If we went through the world and we knew it was this virtual simulation where people weren't real, we'd just be like, okay, these aren't real people. It doesn't matter. They don't really have real opinions of me. I can do whatever I want, right? So It comes from what we are afraid of other people thinking about us. It is the opinions, the fact that we might hurt the way that someone feels, or someone might think badly of us, or someone might judge us. That is what is making us feel so afraid and unable to just trust in ourselves and to know what is right within ourselves and to stay the course and to stay confident in the fact that we need to just figure out how to be true to ourselves and that that is the right path for ourselves. So I really want you to think about it this way, that it is all it is that we are so afraid of, that we are so affected by, is other people's opinions. And the last thing that I'm never going to tell you is, just don't care what anyone else thinks. Just don't worry about what they think. You just do you. I almost choked on that. Did you hear that? That's how much I feel vomity about that. That's great advice if you can do that. No, I tried that. It is impossible. Especially when you're a caring person who is very self-aware and very self-conscious about how you come off and how you affect the world. It's stupid to try to not care. You are a caring person in your heart. So you don't just not care. Okay? So what we're going to do is we are going to care that other people have opinions, but we're not going to make it such a huge affected thing in our lives. We can care, but not internalize it and make it turn us into this person that we don't like being. Okay, so here's the first thing that you need to know in order to care, but not care too much. Where do people's opinions come from? Where do people's thoughts and feelings about us come from? Let's look at everyday life, how we are actually showing up in the world and thinking about things. We are always thinking that it's us. We are the ones who cause other people's thoughts and feelings. If we show up a certain way and somebody has an adverse thought and feeling towards us, we immediately think, oh no, I did something wrong. It's something about me they don't like. I could have done something better. They don't like me. Something is wrong. We think that we show up in the world and someone looks at us and perceives what we're saying and doing, and then that automatically makes them feel a certain way. But that's not how it works. How it actually works is that they are already thinking and feeling certain ways about themselves and their lives. They have their own unique way of feeling and thinking and perceiving things. Each person is unique and individual, so not everybody's perceptions and feelings are alike, right? Everybody has a multitude of different emotions and thoughts and perspectives. They have this whole inner world. And so they already have this stuff going on within them, whether it's great and well-being and thriving and full of love for themselves, or if it is shitty and hating everybody and feeling crappy towards everybody. No matter what it is, it's probably something in between. It is self-contained within themselves. They already have that. And so when they perceive of us, when we are coming into the world and they interact with us, they see us, we have a relationship with them, it's not that they're this blank slate and then we show up and then they suddenly have this impression of us that it's 100% what we caused. No, they already have so much going on within them that their perception of us is going to be based on what they are already thinking and feeling. So think about it this way. You could show up in a room with 10 different people. You show up and you interact with everybody the exact same way. You have the same personality, you have the same words, you share the same thing about yourself, you look the same way for every single person. Each of these 10 people are going to have 10 different opinions about you. Someone's going to be like, oh my God, I really like that you're socially awkward because it makes me feel more relaxed and better about myself. Another person's going to be like, oh my God, I can't stand your social awkwardness. Get it together. The other person's just going to be like, okay, yeah, that's cool. The other person's going to be like, I don't know. I'm just so caught up in my own world that I don't even remember what she was saying. The other person's going to be like, oh, I find you so interesting because I'm here to meet somebody and listen to them. And the other person's going to be preoccupied with something else and they don't even really have an impression. And someone's going to love you because of the way that you look. It's all different opinions. But notice that they're going to have different thoughts and feelings about you while you yourself are presenting the exact same way. So it's not that you are just showing up and someone by default has a thought and feeling. They are already thinking and feeling something, and then you show up and they interpret you through what they're already feeling and thinking about themselves and their lives. And from there, they feel and think a certain way about you. Okay. So something that usually happens when I say this is that people are just like, well, no matter how I feel about myself, I'm always going to feel a certain way if somebody is insulting me or being rude to me. And similarly, if I come into this room and someone's being very nice and loving towards me, I can't help but just feel loving towards them. So of course, other people affect how I'm feeling. So doesn't that mean that I am affecting how somebody else feels? Like, isn't it all on me? And so we kind of have this black and white thinking where we think of these extreme situations, right? Like someone coming in and just being like, fuck you, I hate you, right? Someone just coming in and just being really aggressive and horrible. And us thinking, well, of course I'm going to feel something from them. Even if I was having a good day, they're going to make me feel bad. Okay, look, yes, there are extreme versions in the world. Of course, if someone is acting in an extreme way, either good or bad, it's going to have some kind of effect on us because it's so extreme. So yes, in those extreme cases, it might be true that you cannot help but feel a certain way because of how somebody is being. But look at everyday life. The majority of the time when you're going through daily life, people aren't these black and white extremes where it's either all in your face and hating you or super duper nice and loving you. There's so much in between, right? There's 50 billion shades of gray. It's not just black and white. And so when we're going through our lives, we're normally not interacting with so-called black and white people. We're interacting with some shade in between where they're kind of nice, but they're also kind of distracted. And, we're not exactly sure how they feel about us. They're either in between, or they're somewhere on the spectrum of nice or not nice. For us to think that we ourselves need to be an extreme to be okay in the world, to be an okay person in the world, to have other people like us and want us around. If we think we have to be this extreme where we're just always agreeable, always nice, always doing what somebody else wants, always going along, always changing ourselves. If we think that we have to be this extreme, we're not living in reality. Because, like I said, reality is 50 billion shades of gray. We don't think that these people are bad just because they're not automatically loving on us and giving us all this love and attention and validation. But we think in our own lives that we have to be that way in order to earn someone else's love and attention. Or if not, they might hate us. Right? Think about how many people you interact with where they're just one of the shades of gray. They're like, hey, how are you? All right, so here's what's going on in my life. They might even mention something that you don't agree with. They might say something like, I'm not an animal person, and you happen to love animals. You don't automatically hate them. You're just like, okay, this person doesn't like animals as much as I do. We are used to dealing with different shades of gray of all different people. But yet we're holding ourselves to these extreme black and white standards. What if it is safe to be your own unique shade of gray or rainbow, if that sounds nicer, right? Your own spectrum of colors in the world. And it doesn't have to be all one thing, like all red, all blue, all purple, all black. It doesn't have to be all one color. You can be this mixture of different colors that is ever changing every day. So I want you to suspend your disbelief and start imagining what if it is okay to not be all one way and other people will be okay with that. That people can handle different shades of gray and colors. That the people you want to be around will be able to handle that. Think about people in your life that you like, but they also have their own opinions, their own interests, stuff that's different from you, things that you don't fully agree with, but you still like them, you think they're cool. Why are they allowed to be all these different nuanced, distinct, inexplicable shades of exciting colors, but you think you always have to be whatever it is that pleases somebody else? Look in the real world, look at reality. People don't have to match exactly in order for someone to like you, to love you, to want you around, to see you as a good person. Okay, so I have a story time that I want to share. Actually, two. All right, so one is that when I was in intermediate school, so like 7th and 8th grade, I was just learning how to do girly stuff. I had a group of friends who were all sharing nail polishes and getting into nail polish. And I remember I went to the drugstore with my mom and I said, hey, can I pick out a nail polish color so I could wear it to school and show my friends? And she's like, okay. So I took a long time looking at each brand and each color and thinking which one is the best one that I want for myself, which one is good. I thought I was shopping for myself, but in the back of my mind, I was thinking about this particular girl that I thought was cool in the group, and I really wanted her to like what I chose. I really valued her opinion. So I was like, would she think this is cool? Maybe not. Would she would like this? Maybe not. I took a long ass time, okay? Finally, I decided, I don't know why, but I think I decided on a silvery kind of pink color, just this light pink iridescent nail polish. And I was like, I feel good about this. I think she'll like it. I think she'll approve. And then I wore it to school, and she wasn't trying to be mean or anything, but she said something along the lines of, oh, that's an ugly color. I don't like pink. And I remember just being like, oh, why did I buy this? And I felt really shitty about myself. I felt really bad about my taste. I felt upset that she didn't like it. It was all to just please her, right? Look, we're kids. This is what we do. Now, I did some growing up in the next few years, and fast forward to maybe like junior year in high school, same group of friends. I was in the position where I'm like, I'm just going to wear this nail polish, same color. I wore it to school, and I wasn't thinking about who was noticing. I was just doing it for myself because I was just so tired of seeing my bare hands. And the girl who had previously said that my nail polish was an ugly color, she looked at it and she just casually mentioned, oh, I love that color. What? Right? What just happened there? So the reason why I'm sharing this is because we are like the nail polish color. What had happened in those 3 years wasn't that the nail polish color changed to make my friend happier. My friend changed. She changed how she felt about pink. She grew up a little bit. I don't know if she was just saying it to be nice, but she was kind of blunt, as you can tell. So I don't think she would have just said that to try to please me. I think that it's obvious that she changed her tastes. Maybe she changed the way that she felt about different colors. I don't know. But it was the exact same color, and she had a different opinion about it. The color didn't change. So we are the nail polish color. And if someone thinks we're an ugly color, it's because of whatever it is they're thinking at the time. They're thinking, I'm not trying to be girly. I'm not trying to be into pinks. I don't like the iridescent thing. That person could go through some stuff during life and later on be like, you know what? I'm kind of feeling the girly vibe. I'm kind of feeling the iridescent sparkle. I like that color now, right? The person's opinions and perceptions of themselves and who they are is what affects how they feel about the nail polish. And okay, I understand that that is a childhood story. What about in the real world? What about with adults? So the thing I could think about is my parents. There was a time when I was legally an adult. I was going to college, and they were very protective of me. And I remember having these arguments with them because I was out here trying to find myself, trying to live my best life. And they would tell me, you're not allowed to do that. We don't want you to do that. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. We just want you to be at home studying. We don't want you to be going out, all these things. And I'm like 18, 19 years old. So I would get in arguments. I'm like, I'm not happy. I'm not happy being this way. I want to do these things. And I remember my mom, we had a fight, and she's like, I don't care if you're happy. She's like, it doesn't matter to me if you're happy. Just do what we tell you to do. And it was this heated thing, and I was so pissed off. And it was something that I kind of carried with me for a long time, where I'm like, my own mom doesn't care if I'm happy. What the hell? And years go by. More years go by. And now my mom is telling me, when I'm off doing my own thing, she says, all that really matters to me is that you girls, my daughters, are happy. Whatever makes you happy. I just want you to be happy. Okay, so what happened there? First of all, I want to say that my mom had always come from the most loving intentions. She was never saying that to hurt me. She was just dealing with her own stuff at the time, which is what I'm trying to explain, is that the time where she allegedly didn't want me to be happy, it had nothing to do with me and more about how she felt inside and her fears and her preoccupations and her worries about her own inadequacy, about being a parent and what might happen and all the things she didn't have control over. And so she was projecting that onto me. So it's not that my worthiness or her love for me changed in that time. But what did change during that time is she went out and started to live a life that made her happy. Because at the time when she was telling me that she didn't care if I was happy or not, she was upset within her own life. She was just staying home. She didn't have any friends, any extracurricular activities. She just sat at home and cared for us and watched the news. And that's it. She didn't have any life beyond being a mom. Now, her life is completely different. She is driving around to different places every single day. She's going to a different class. She's into dancing. She does line dancing and hula, all different kinds of classes. She's got a full schedule. She's teaching dance class, which that blows my mind because that's a completely different person than the person who was telling me she doesn't care if I'm happy or not. But what changed is her. Now that she's off living her own happy life that she decided to go and do herself, she now understands and perceives me differently. She's like, now that I'm happy and I understand there's more to life than just being what your parents want you to be, I now want you to just be happy. So I just wanted to share that because we often think it's us, like something's wrong with me. I got to change the way that they see me, when it is mostly them. Yes, we can do things to improve our communication, the way that we are compromising with them. There's so many different ways, but I'm just saying that when it comes to us doing things that are for us, for our own well-being, and someone else has a big problem with it, it's something that's going on with them. It's not that you have to change. Okay? I've been working on this for a long time and I've come so far. But the other day, literally, I think it was yesterday, I had a package coming in the mail and it got delivered to the wrong house. And my neighbor was so kind to come and drop it off on my doorstep and text me and say, hey, your package came to my house. Sorry, my wife opened it. She thought that it was her own clothes. We didn't take anything out. Sorry, the package is opened. It's on your doorstep. It's there. And I woke up and I saw that and I was just like, oh, good. I'm so glad that it was just next door and he came and returned it. So I said, oh, no problem. Thank you so much. And then I think I did a little prayer hand emoji to be like, thank you. And I used one exclamation point. And I got my package. Everything was fine. And then afterwards I was like, ooh, I kind of texted him when I woke up and I wasn't fully thinking properly. I should have said something like, I appreciate that you came all the way to my doorstep first thing in the morning and dropped it off. I should have said something more. I should have used maybe 2 exclamation points. I don't know. I don't think I conveyed how thankful and appreciative I am of this. And I don't want him to think that I'm just taking it for granted or that I'm just being entitled and I'm a bad neighbor and I'm a bad person. All these things started going through my head. And I was just like, oh, here it is. The old people-pleasing, preoccupation, fretting thing is coming in. And so I thought this was very timely because it made me remind myself of how I used to feel all the time. I noticed that I had to work through, I did exactly what I'm talking about here, where I said to myself, hey, I responded politely. I said, it is no problem, meaning no problem the package was opened. And I said, thank you so much. And there's nothing wrong with that. If he decides that that wasn't good enough, that I should have been pouring over and writing an entire paragraph of my appreciation, then that's kind of means more about him than it does about me. Because if he needs me to go and bend over backwards and kiss his ass and say every single thing about my appreciation and convey it without any mistaking that I'm appreciating, then why does he need me to go to that extent? And I really had to think about that he's over there, he's got a family, he's got a job. If he is actually spending time analyzing this text message, then that is something that's going on with him. So I thought about this. There could be 3 different neighbors who each got one of my packages. And I could have texted the exact same thing to each one of them. And one of them might say, oh my God, that's all she's going to say. It's just no problem. Thank you. She didn't even acknowledge that I had to walk over there with her package and put it on her doorstep first thing in the morning. She didn't acknowledge that. And that person would be feeling that way because she might be feeling inadequate and unseen in her own life. She might be doing it from this place of wanting to do something good to get noticed. So it's more than just doing the right thing and dropping off your neighbor's package. It would be something about her that she needs from me. Okay, so that's neighbor number 1. Neighbor number 2 could be like, oh, she actually texted me back. I do nice things for people and they don't even acknowledge it. She actually texted me back and thanked me. That's great. Faith in humanity restored, right? And this person could just be like going through life, focus on what he has control over, feeling gratitude towards things, seeing things in a positive light. It's through the way that he is seeing it, right? Third person, neutral. She's just like, oh, she texted me back. Good, she got the package. Cool. Nothing, because it's literally not even about her. She's not making it about her. She's making it about the package. So, whatever it is, I know that this package thing is such a minute thing, especially if you're dealing with something big in your relationship or yourself, but the same thing applies. If someone is feeling some kind of way towards the way that you're being, it is so much more about them and what's going on with them by default than it is that there's something wrong with you and that you need to change yourself. Think back to your muses, the people you think are super cool. Now imagine if somebody came along and said, I don't like that person. Right? If someone said, I don't like your Auntie Lois. There's something wrong with her. And family members have said this. They have hated on my Auntie Lois because she's different. She doesn't have kids. She lived on a cute little farmland kind of place on the Big Island. She pursued education her whole life. She married somebody who was different from everybody else. There's a lot of people who hated on her because they're like, oh, she's weird. She doesn't do things the right way. But then did that change the way that I felt about her? No, I was like, okay, she's cool. She's fun. I like her. If you are judging her, you have a problem. Same with Catwoman. Someone could look at Catwoman, one of my muses, and say, I never liked Catwoman. The whole all black thing, That's so dark and negative. I don't like cats. I never liked the Batman series. I prefer Wonder Woman because she's got the cool outfits, whatever. They could say all these things and I'd just be like, all right, so you have a problem with Catwoman. It's not that Catwoman needs to change, right? So it's that same energy that we have to have towards ourselves, where if someone is perceiving something that isn't true, like if my neighbor thought that I was rude, that's not true. I have to stand up for myself and be like, no, he's wrong. He just doesn't understand. The thing is, in the moment, did I do anything wrong? No. Someone might say that I am. Someone might say I could have said it better, but there's 50 billion shades of gray in the world. And if they can't handle different shades of gray and they want everything their way, they're going to have a problem in life. We're going to have to keep practicing this. We're going to have to bring the energy that we have towards our muses, how we would stand up for our muses, how we wouldn't change our mind about how our muses show up in the world because of what someone else thinks. We have to do that for ourselves. It's not about judging how insecure and squeamish and cringe you feel when you do something. We are going to feel that way. But just give people a little more responsibility. Instead of making it 100% your own responsibility to change how someone else thinks and feels about you, to make them completely comfortable, to make them feel completely good about you. Relieve yourself of that burden of always feeling like it's up to you, because it's always going to be filtered through the way that they are feeling about themselves and their life. So yes, you can take some responsibility for showing up in a certain way, but after a certain amount, you have to allow them to experience you through how they are going to experience you no matter what, which is through their own filter. If you like me, if you think I'm cool and worthy and you like being here with me on the podcast, that's because you are feeling a certain way about yourself and your life. And you're thinking, oh, maybe this chick can help me out. Or I like the way that just this chick is, right? It's because of something that you're thinking based on your own life, your own way that you feel about yourself. So I don't get any credit for that. If you think I'm super cool, that's because of the way that you're starting to think and feel about yourself. Because the way that you feel and the things you like are reflected on how you see me. And if someone has a problem with me, if someone's like, things about this girl that I don't like, then that's something about themselves. Because then that means they're feeling a certain way about themselves that they're then projecting onto me and thinking that I should be different to make them feel good, make them feel better. And one last thing I wanted to add in that I'm going to talk about in another episode is that a time in my life when I was the most judgmental and the most mean and the most catty and bitchy towards other people, the time that I was most judgmental was when I was the most unhappy about my own self and my own life, and I was doing nothing about it. And so if someone is feeling judgmental towards you, it's because of something that's going on with their own life. The more I liked myself, the more that I took responsibility for myself and my own happiness and my own self-love, the nicer and more understanding and less judgmental I became of others. It's like my mom. When she was getting her own stuff together, when she was experiencing her own life and finding her own self-love and her own interests, she started to feel more warm towards other people who were doing the same. And when she wasn't allowing herself to do those things and she was just staying small and thinking that she couldn't do any of that and that all she needed to do was just stay at home and not want to be an individual, she hated when I was trying to be an individual. Okay? How you feel about yourself determines how you feel towards others. How others feel about themselves is going to determine how they feel about you. It is not you that is wholly responsible for their thoughts and feelings, good or bad, right? They love you. It's because of the way they feel. Did you ever notice that when you're in a really good mood, stuff that normally bothers you doesn't bother you as much? It's because of the way you're feeling. And did you ever notice that when you're in a really bad mood, everything is annoying? That's because the way that you perceive other things is filtered towards the way you're feeling about yourself in your life. Okay, so this week I want you to go through life, and whether someone gives you a good or bad reaction, I want you to think about it coming from them and what's going on with them. It's like, oh, they're in a good mood. They must be having good stuff happening in their lives. They must feel good about themselves. Oh, that person's kind of grumpy and they just kind of blew me off. There must be something going on with them. It is a practice to remind you that you are not responsible for everybody's feelings and interpretations of you, because people are going to think and feel how they think and feel about themselves. And it's not up to you to manage that. Managing it is what makes us feel crazy and turns us into people we don't like being. Okay. I'm going to turn this into a series, I think. So that's going to be the first one. I don't know if they're going to be consecutive because I like to do these as I feel impassioned to do them. But this is going to be a series on confidence. So this is the first part. Okay? People's opinions of you come from themselves. All right, everyone, have an amazing week. I want you to stay on top of what you're thinking. And this is going to help to build your confidence over time. All right, I'll talk to you next episode. Bye.